Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. This is on getting organised. So we are helping you to get the most from your Access Planet platform. Today's agenda is going to be tasks, notes, and dashboards. And it will be Jack, who is my wonderful colleague. He will be taking you through the platform demos and explaining how to get the most out of these features. And my name's Lauren, and I will be moderating in the background, answering any questions on the Q&A as we go along.
Thanks, Lauren. Perfect. So, as Lauren said, the chat and the Q&A are open. So if you've got any questions as we go along, please just pop them in and we will try and get to them throughout. If not, we'll get to them at the end. So the first thing we're going to cover this morning is tasks. So tasks are there to be able to manage your own personal to-dos and any to-dos within your team. These can be mapped to different areas of the platform. So you can map to a course, to a delegate, to an account. And it just means that all your organization of the tasks and those things you've got to do are just in one central place. So they're all on your Access Planet platform, all alongside all your courses, all your users, it's all there. And each administrator also has their own task Kanban board. This means that you can see just your tasks. It won't show anyone else's tasks. It allows you to focus on what's most important to you. So it's only going to show what you're working on, not what everyone else in the business is working on. It makes it a lot more easier to organize. We'll show you that when we jump into the platform in a few. The things that we're going to look to cover for jobs today. So these are the things as administrator you may want to do. So the first thing is to update the task type option. The next thing we're going to do is update the task status option. And then we're going to show you how to add a task to a customer account. This is the same or very similar, whether you want to add it to a user or a delegate. And then the final thing we're going to look at is how to define default tasks for a course offering. So that's adding a task to a course template that you know, because that action needs doing every single time a course is run. So what we'll do now is we'll jump into the platform. We're going to try and do more on the platform today to show you actually how it works. And then it just makes it a bit easier to see in real life how it may work for you. So I'll just show the platform now. Have it. Hopefully you can all see that okay. So this is one of our demo platforms. So from here you can see this is the dashboards. This is the screen that you see when you first log into the platform. The first thing we were looking at doing was updating the task type and task statuses. So this is an admin only option and it lives under profile and administration. And then from here, you scroll down, we're going to be looking at using the custom list items. So custom list items are basically anywhere in the platform that we've got different item types where you can then have your own custom text or labels that basically means that you can customize the labels to ones that are more relevant to you and your organization. So we have some standard ones that are part of your standard platform, but they may not make sense to you. You can add those in yourself to make it make more sense and to make it fit within your business. So the first thing we're going to look at, you can see here is that we've got different item types. So I've got a filter here set up already for item type is a note type. So you can see the platform, this are all the different note types that we've got in the platform. So whenever I go to add a note, I'm going to be able to see these are all different options that I've got. From here, you can enable them and disable them too. But you can also edit them and delete them as well if you no longer need them. If a note has got a item type associated to it that you've added or used at any point, you can't delete it because it's that note has that note type associated to it. If you really wanted to delete it, you'd have to find every note with that note type before you could delete it. Best thing to do in that situation is just to disable it. That means that no longer it can be selected in that list. To add a new note type is really simple. You're going to press this green button up here to add a custom list item, and then from here you get this box. So item type, these are all the different items that you can add it to basically. So your CRM ones are going to be things that are associated to your opportunities, for example. You've got purchase statuses if you use products and services, task statuses, which we're going to come to later. But the one we're going to look at first is note type. So we're going to pop that in here. And then this is in effect going to now add another note type that we've got. So for here, I'm going to use a note type as classroom information. So I want to put in this note something that relates to the classroom that we're going to be attending to. So is default is going to be the first one that's going to be selected when you create a note. We don't want it to be the is default option. We just want it to be a drop down, but we do want it to be enabled, so we'll tick that box. You press save and close, and that is that note type created. It literally is as simple as that, which is great. The next thing we're going to look at doing is we're going to look at how we create a task and adding that to a customer account in this situation. So first, we're going to look at the tasks data grid. This is where all the tasks live within your platform. So it is a data grid, and it's just going to, when you've got tasks in here, it's just going to list them all in this data grid. You can, like any other data grid, you can add the columns in that you want. You can remove them. You can drag and drop them wherever you want them to be to make it more what you want to see. Basically, this is going to be every single task in the platform, so not ones that are assigned just to you. To change that, you can use this toggle at the top right here, which says switch to board. If we toggle that, this is the Kanban board that we were talking about earlier. So you can see here, then you get the different categories that we've got for tasks. I'm really sorry. I realized we jumped ahead to tasks instead of notes. I've jumped ahead a bit, but I'll show you this while we're here now, and we'll jump back to it later. This would then just show you everything that is just mine. So any tasks that are assigned to me would be in this situation in this board here. If we click switch back to data grid, this is where it shows you everything in the platform. We'll cover that again in a minute. We'll actually go back into notes data grid. The notes data grid works exactly the same as the tasks and any other data grid. It's a list of all of the notes that have been created in the platform, whether it be against an account, a delegate, a user. They will all show here. Again, you can change all the different columns that you see. If you wanted to see the note, even you could select the note, so they would pull through to this data grid, whatever you want. You can also export them, bulk edit them, all those sorts of usual things. You can add a note directly from this data grid. So you can click add note at the top left here on the green button. And then this will give you the text box. You can then here select what you're mapping it to. So if you wanted to map it to a user, you can then click user and then select them from the drop-down list. So if you want to do it directly from the notes data grid, you can do. This is where the type comes in that we just created. So we created this classroom information one, and as you can see, that now exists here. If we turn off the enablement on all the other ones, then we'd have a shorter list. So you can turn off anything that you don't want to see in this list. It's really customizable and configurable to how you want it to be. So if I only wanted adjustment note and classroom information, I'd just de-enable all the other ones. You literally select the type your note in there, and then press save and close, and that's everything done. What we're going to look at specifically is adding it to a customer account. So you're going to navigate to the accounts data grid, and then we want to add it to Midland Safety Training. So you can right click, and here you can either click edit button, and that's going to edit the whole account, or you can use this menu already and go straight to notes. You can also use the add button if you want to directly add a note without even going into the account. But I want to see all the notes first. So I'm going to click notes here, and this is going to show me any note that's already associated to this account. They haven't got anything. I'm going to add a note. And then it's already, as you can see, going to have that mapping in. So you don't have to do that step because you've already in effect said, I'm mapping it to this account. I want to do this as a trainer feedback because we've had some feedback about the delegates from this account. And the delegates from MST are always on time. For example, something like that. You then press save and close, and then you have that note assigned to the account. It's literally as simple as that. As I said, this is the same for courses, for users. It works in exactly the same way. The last thing I wanted to show on notes in particular was the ability to, that's actually a task I was going to show you. So we'll move on to tasks. So I'll keep on going to tasks instead of notes. So that's everything for I've started on tasks. I've gone between tasks and notes. I'm really sorry. I've got a bit legged up here. We'll jump back into tasks a second. We're going a bit back and forth. I'm so sorry. We'll start again with tasks now. So what we'll do is I'll show you the same sort of situation, but for tasks. So if you go to administration and then go to custom list items, we can do exactly the same sort of thing that we did with notes for tasks. So we'll add a custom list item. And then again, from the drop-down list, you then got task status or task type. So your task type is going to be really similar to the note one that we just did. So that could be anything such as in the task Kanban board, you've got like to do, completed, in progress. If you've got something really specific to your business, you can have that in here. So for example, I can have one on hold. It's not the default one, but it is going to be enabled. And we press save and close, and that's created that item type, which is perfect. The other thing you can do with tasks, which is different to notes, is if you add another type, you can use task type. So here, I'm just going to load up. I'll show you by adding a filter what we've got for tasks. So item type is in task status and task type. If we press save, so you can see here we've got all the different task statuses and all the different task types. So we just created a task type of to do, and that's there. And then we've got these task statuses. So these are the ones that are in, where are they? What status is that task in? So you've got like not started, in progress, completed. These are all the standard default ones that we have on the platform. If you've got something specific, for example, phone call, you may want to have a list of tasks to outreach to someone. You're going to need to make a phone call. You can type that in there, enable it, and save and close. We'll go back into the task data grid. So as we mentioned before, this is the task data grid. So this is where you'll see all of the tasks. Switching to the board just shows you your tasks. To add a task, you literally click add a task. It's as simple as that. And then here you get a similar pop-up box. You then type in the subject. It has to map to something as well. So from here, this is because you're in the task data grid, you've got to choose what this task is mapped to. Then if you scroll down, you can assign it to an account or a user. And then finally, we've got these options here for schedule. So the type, so we've got the to-do or the on hold follow-up. So for example, this is a to-do. The priority setting, so it tells you 1 is high, 5 is low. You can choose that. The start date and the due date that you want it to be. And then the status, this is what we just created. You can see here, we've got all the different statuses that we can create within the platform. We need to make sure that the other one that we created for phone call was enabled, and then it will show it in this list. You can then set the progress. So this is how far through the task you are, whether you're 10%, 50%. That's just a set number from yourself. So it's how far are you through that task? How far are you through? Certain organizations have certain metrics. So when you're at a certain point, it's this percentage. So that's just populating that box. And then the details is basically what is that task? So it's to call this account, to email this account, to follow up with this person. That's what we're doing there. And you can also click reminders. This is what's really nice about tasks is that if you can set it up in a workflow where you can tick this box here to remind by email. This will then, you can set the reminder date, and then it will send you an email that your task about this task when you set it to be. So if your due date is the 5th of April, you can set it for today at the time to send you a reminder that, hey, this task is going to be due tomorrow. Don't forget to do it. It's really nice that you can set that. But it's possible also to set up workflows to remind your tasks when they're due. So that's something else to look into if you're interested in that. The one thing I wanted to show you with tasks is it can be quite manual to create a task every single time for a course. So if for a certain course, you've got to make sure that you've got certain things in place. You can set tasks to be created every single time you have a course date created. So if we take this basic first aid training course here, and we'll edit it, so you want to see the whole course. On the left-hand side, you've got the tasks option. If you go here, this then brings up another data grid, and this shows you all the tasks associated to that course template. So every single time then I create a course date based off this course template, those tasks are going to pull down to those course dates. To add it, you literally click add task, and it brings up the pop-up the same as before. You're in effect going to select the task that is to be done. So there's a couple of differences. The subject here could be ensure first aid materials are ordered. So we need to make sure we've got first aid materials for this course. It's going to automatically pick your course template because that's where we're creating it from. Any users that you want it to be assigned to. So if you want it to be assigned to a certain person every single time, then this is where you will put that information in. And then this is the task start date. It can, when you create a task in the data grid, because we're doing it for now, that's where you can pick the actual start and the end date. Because you're a course template, you could be creating these for 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the future. But you want this task to be started, say 30 days before the course start date. Or you could pick the end date if it's a task that you need to do afterwards, such as tidy the room, count back in all the materials, whatever it may be. And then you can also set the same for the due date. So you've got the task start, so you can do it again. We want this to be due 7 days before the course start date. But you can also do it if you have a week to do a task, you could do 7 days after the task start date, for example. So every single time that you create the course date, it's going to automatically create this task with the start and the end date based on these parameters that you set here. You also then get your normal options, such as your schedule, your status, and your details. And then also the options for reminders too. So you can click reminders by emails or pop-up. and how many days, again, you get those parameters to days before or after the task start date. So if you want to remind it 7 days after the task start date to do this task, it will then give you, I know, an email. It's going to send me an email 7 days after the start date. You press save and close, and that adds your task in. So now every single time I create a new course for the basic first aid training, it's going to have this task automatically on that course date. The one thing to note is that if you add a task to a course template now, any course date that is already created in the platform will not have this task associated to it. This will only be for new courses created after you've added these tasks. That's really important to remember. It won't update anything that's already on, that's already been scheduled. So that's tasks, a real quick overview. They're really helpful. The final thing to show you actually is up here, you've got this task option. If you click this, you can see any tasks that are assigned to you. And then if you've got multiple tasks, we'll give you an option to see all, and it will take you straight to that data grid. So there's quite a few places that you can have your tasks shown. You can use the email reminders. You've got your tasks option here. You've got your task data grid for your own personal tasks. Your Kanban board, which will just show you any tasks that are due for you. And then there's so many places where you can add a task to. You've got the automation through the course templates. So then you know these activities are never going to be missed because they're always going to be created on your course dates. There's also one final place that you can pull these through, which is to a dashboard, which leads us nicely into dashboards. So dashboards are the first thing that you see when you log into the platform. We do have full other sessions on dashboards. So if you're more interested after this, there's on-demand content already for dashboards and how to create them a bit more. We're just going to go into the overview really of how to create a dashboard and what the gadgets are. So as I mentioned, this is the first thing that you see when you log into a platform. You can have multiple dashboards. So you can click here and you can see all the dashboards you've got. You can create them for yourself or for teams. So for example, a sales team could have their own dashboard, and then individuals could have their own sales dashboard for their own figures, for example. They're really easy to create, and it's just a really good way of having centralized reporting information. It's all in one place. It's really easy to set up, and it just means you don't have to go digging for the information. Dashboards are stored under profile and administration. And then if you go into dashboards here, you'll see a list of all of the dashboards that are currently set up on your platform. You can add a new dashboard by clicking the Add a Dashboard button. And then from here, you're going to label what the dashboard is. So this will be Jack's dashboard. And then here you have to map it to something. So you can map it to a user, an account, a job role, but it has to be mapped to something or someone. So this is my dashboard. So I'm going to filter for me, and I'm going to select me as the person. You only can have one dashboard mapped to you, so that's something to bear in mind. So here, that's perfect. That's added my dashboard. If I wanted to create another one, I can just click add another, and that will let me add another dashboard straight away. But I just want to edit this one. So I'm going to click OK. And then you click this option here on the left. This is basically the dashboard now that you're creating. So you've got this blank white space. This is what you're going to see when you log in. So best practice here is using the top here. You can see it's called home. If you click this arrow to the right, you can rename area. So instead of it being called home, you can name it to say Jack's dashboard or sales dashboard. That means that if you've got, when you've got this long list of all the dashboards you've got, you know what, instead of them all being called home, which is what the default option is, you know exactly what that dashboard is. Then the next thing you want to do is start building your dashboard. And we have different gadgets to build the dashboard. You click add gadget, and this is the list of ones that we've got. So some of the most common ones are data grid. So you all know what a data grid is. That's like your users or your accounts data grids. It works exactly the same way. It's pulling that information in, and then you pre-filter what you want to see. So if you wanted to have a data grid of all the courses that are coming up in the next 30 days, you would add the gadget, and then you just need to configure it. So this is the same for all of the gadgets. You'll get this box, and then you click the hyperlink to configure it. When you click that, it will then give you all these options. So this is basically, in effect, exactly the same. You're just creating the data grid, basically. So the columns are the information that you want to see, and then you can add filters. So you need to pick your module first. So this is similar to workflows, for example, where do we want to pull it from? So I want to use class course. So then this is going to give you some pre-populated columns. You can add and remove them using the options here. So I don't want to see profitability forecast for this, so I'm going to get rid of that. And then here you can add the filters in. So similar to a dashboard, you can add the filters in of what you want to build. So it could be the start dates in the next 30 days, for example. You press save, and then you will get your data grid like this. These are draggable, so you can customize them, pull them down, make them how big you want them to be. So that's the data grid. It's pretty much pre-filtering it. So when you come into the platform, instead of having to go to the class course data grid, for example, you come to your dashboard and your information is there straight away. And the next gadget that is popular is a statistic. So this is basically going to give you a number. The number, it could be how many delegates you've trained this year, how many courses you've run this year. It could be a finance number to calculate how much course income you've had. That's what a statistic would be used for. And the final most popular one is a summary. So this is where you can in fact count how many courses have been run. So for example, you could have the course title listed, and then you could count how many of those courses you've actually run this year. Um, you could also have how many delegates you've completed, how many delegates have cancelled. That's a really popular gadget too, to kind of give you more information, as opposed to in a data grid format. It's more of counting how many of this, how many of that. To add another data grid, you literally click add a gadget and it will just add them in. You can drag and drop them when you see the crosshairs like this. You can drag and drop them upwards. You can pull them out. You can pull them down, make them as big or as little as you want. We suggest putting some statistics in, which give you the numbers, adding some nice colourful backgrounds onto those. It makes it a bit easier to read as well, because if not, it can be a lot of data. But that is kind of dashboards. As I say, we have a full dashboard session. This is more showing you that dashboards is an option, what you can do with them, how you can create them. But as I said, there is content that we've done webinars before on the dashboards. That's on our website. You can have a look at those. Or if you want more help with that, you can either pop a support ticket in or drop us an email, and one of the CSMs will be able to get back to you and help you with that. So I'm going to skip through all this because we kind of covered it without going through the slides. So really, that was everything we wanted to show you today. I appreciate it was a bit back and forth. I got notes and tasks all mixed up in my head, so we ended up flipping between the two, but hopefully you've understood and managed to follow along. If there's any questions, please pop them in the box. One thing I just wanted to show you before we finish today is we've got upcoming sessions that are available. This link takes you directly to our website for our upcoming events page, and you can book directly from there through our own platform. We've got a workflow fundamentals course coming up on the 9th of April. That's £100 a person. That goes into more details of workflows, how to build them, the rules that you need to do. It's a lot more in depth, and it's about 8 per class. And that's with one of our support team. We'll take you through workflows and really getting able to build them yourself. And the next free webinar we've got is on the 16th of April. And this is about keeping your platform secure and includes multi-factor authentication. So this is a new feature that's due to be rolled out to your platform soon. We're going to be covering through all the different features of security already in the platform, and also MFA, which is upcoming. That's a free webinar, and that takes place at 2 p.m. on the 16th of April. Again, through the link in on the website, you can book there for free as well. So yeah, if there's any questions, please feel free to pop them in the boxes. The recording will be sent out to you all as well after the session. Again, I appreciate it was a bit back and forth today. I'm really sorry. I got myself a bit legged up. But if you've got any questions, please pop them in the box. If not, you can just drop us an email as well. Customer success at accessplanit.com is the best way to get in touch with us, or pop a support ticket in if you want to go over anything more in detail as well. If there's no questions, we'll hang around for a few minutes to answer any questions you've got. If there's nothing, no questions that come through, thank you very much for your time, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks for the next webinar.